Next tonight, there are renewed calls to reform the family court system after claims that some parents are waiting up to 2 years for formal access rights to their children after a breakup. Some areas of our region are struggling with a heavy backlog of cases.
Yeah, the charity Families Need Fathers recently held an event for members of the House of Lords saying better mediation processes are needed for quicker and more amicable resolutions. Here's Nick Smith.
The breakdown of a relationship can be a hugely stressful experience, but the process can be much more complicated when children are involved. Family courts can determine access rights for either parent, but in the wait for a hearing, the primary carer often holds the power and control of when and where their ex-partner can see their children. Andrew Feller volunteers for the charity Both Parents Matter in Ipswich and says delays in getting an initial court hearing are causing a huge amount of distress.
The backlog in this area is the worst outside of London. Parents making an application to the courts are finding that the first time they're getting a proper hearing is 5 to 6 months, when it should be 5 to 6 weeks. You're not having full contact with your own children. And in most cases, we're talking preschool, primary children who are not able to have a formal relationship with both parents.
John Denby spent years having restricted contact with his own children after separation from his wife. His son and daughter were under 10 at the time. He says without a firm plan in place for access in the initial stages of a family breakup, reliance on the courts can have a devastating effect on the parent who isn't the primary carer.
Heartbreaking is the immediate word that comes to mind, because I was a very hands-on, committed father. Suddenly they're gone from my life. You would be walking down the road and you might see a father taking his children to school, and it really hurt that you could no longer be a father to them. We would like to see a less adversarial system because we think that generates conflict. The delays in the system are very damaging, and that's contrary to a child's best interests.
Some countries like Sweden have a presumption of shared parenting and try and facilitate equal access from the point of separation. But family law experts like Lucy Reid say there are important factors to consider which do often need the presence of a judge.
It's to ensure that the welfare of children is properly identified and prioritised, and that includes their safety. Sometimes parents don't agree about whether the other parent is a safe and able parent. So there are some cases where it's absolutely right for the court to say, no, contact should be restricted. But there are also a large number of cases where contact can and should be promoted, and it is promoted, and orders are made by the family court.
The Ministry of Justice says the backlog in the family courts is reducing but remains too high. So they are promoting methods like mediation to settle child access and visitation. A move welcomed by advocates for a system where separated parents can properly share involvement in their children's lives. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Well, thank you for joining Becky and me this Monday evening. It is ITV News in the Anglia region.